Hey guys, today I've got two juicy stories for you. Story 1. The roommate boundary. Lila said she wasn't in love with me anymore, but she wanted to keep living together, same apartment, same shared space, just as friends. I agreed. Then I stopped doing everything for her, stopped being the person who anticipated her every need and waited. She'd realize what she lost, beg me to take her back, and I'd get to say no. Because by then, I'd already found someone who saw me as more than a convenience. I'm Alara, 29, a senior UX designer at a tech firm in Austin. Lila, 27, was a freelance content creator. Her work was sporadic, feast or famine, and after she lost her part-time gig at a digital marketing agency 14 months ago, I stepped up to cover the gaps. I didn't mind at first. When we moved in together, she was sharp, independent, paid her half of rent on time, and never asked for favors. That's what drew me to her. She was unapologetically herself. No strings attached. But slowly, that independence faded. At first, she used her savings to split rent and utilities. Then her freelance projects dried up during a local industry slump, and I told her not to worry. I could cover everything until she got back on her feet. What I thought would last a month stretched into 6, then a year. I paid the rent, the water and electric bills, stocked the fridge with our favorite oat milk lattes and gluten-free granola, handled the apartment repairs when the AC broke or the sink leaked. I added her to my phone plan because it was cheaper than her individual one, picked up her dry cleaning when she was swamped, and even booked her doctor's appointments when she forgot. When we went out with friends, I paid the tab. When we took a weekend trip to San Antonio, I covered flights and the Airbnb. She'd thank me, say, "I'll pay you back when I can," but the when never came. Instead, she started acting like it was my job, like I owed her this level of care. She'd text me at work asking me to book a table at her favorite brunch spot for her and her friends. She'd leave her laundry on the couch, expecting me to throw it in with mine. She'd make plans for us concert tickets, dinner reservations without asking, assuming I'd handle the cost and logistics. The physical side of things was still there, warm and familiar, so I ignored the red flags. We'd cuddle on the couch after work. She'd tell me she loved me, and I convinced myself that the imbalance was temporary. Her friends loved me. My friends loved her, and we talked about adopting a rescue dog next year. I thought we were solid until 3 weeks ago. We were on the couch, watching a home renovation show. I leaned over to kiss her goodnight, and she pulled back, her face cold and distant. She muted the TV, turned to me, and said it flat out, "I like you, Alara, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I haven't been for months." My chest tightened, but I forced myself to stay calm. "What does that mean for us?" I asked. She smiled like she was doing me a favor. "We can keep living together. We're great roommates. Why mess that up? I value our friendship too much to let a breakup ruin it." I told her I needed time to think, then went to the guest room. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Lila had left her tablet on the coffee table and a group chat notification popped up. She was telling her 3 closest friends about our conversation, and their messages made my blood run cold. "You're so brave for being honest," one text read. "Most people stay in relationships for convenience, but you're doing the right thing." Another, "At least you still get the apartment, the free bills, all the little things she does for you, win-win." That's when I realized she wasn't being brave, she was being greedy. Someone to take care of her without the obligation of loving me back. The next morning, I told her I was fine with being roommates. She hugged me, relieved, and said, "I knew you'd understand." That's when I flipped the switch. I stopped making her coffee in the morning now. I make exactly 1 cup in my travel mug and leave for work without a word. I stopped doing her laundry, stopped buying her favorite snacks, stopped booking her reservations. When her car started making a grinding noise, she mentioned it while I was working, and I said, "Yelp has good reviews for local mechanics. You should check them out." When she left dishes in the sink, I washed only mine. She stared at me like I was being cruel, but I was just giving her what she asked for. A roommate, not a partner. The real twist came when I found out she'd been cheating on me with her freelance client, a married man named Julian who owned a local coffee chain. I found their texts on her tablet one night when she was in the shower, plans to meet at hotels. Jokes about how Alara's too busy taking care of me to notice. Even a photo of them together at the same San Antonio Airbnb I'd paid for. I screenshot everything, saved it to a folder, and said nothing. I didn't want revenge. I wanted her to realize what she'd lost on her own. Her birthday rolled around 2 weeks later. And get her a thoughtful gift last year. I got her a custom camera lens she'd been wanting for months. This year, I wished her happy birthday in the morning and asked, "Any plans?" She stared at me confused. "I thought you planned something," she said. I shrugged. "Roommates don't plan birthday parties for each other. You should ask your friends." She spent the day texting, begging people to hang out, but most were busy. She ended up eating takeout alone while I worked late at the office. Her finances crumbled next. I removed her from my phone plan, and her service got shut off. She had to get her own plan, which cost twice as much. Her car registration expired because I didn't renew it for her, and she got a $220 ticket. She asked to borrow money for groceries, and I told her, lending money to roommates gets messy, try asking your friends. She started eating ramen and canned soup while I kept my fridge stocked with fresh veggies and homemade meals. I joined a hiking group, started taking pottery classes, things I'd abandoned when I was too busy taking care of her. And that's when I met Mia, a nurse at the local hospital at a hiking trail. She had her own apartment, paid her own bills, and when we went out, she insisted on splitting the tab. For the first time in months, I felt seen not as a caretaker, but as a person. Lila panicked when she found out I was moving out. Our lease was up in 6 weeks, and I'd already signed a lease on a 1-bedroom apartment closer to work. She begged me to stay, to give our relationship another chance. "I made a mistake," she cried. I looked at her, calm and steady, and said, "You didn't love me. You loved that I took care of you, and I deserve someone who loves me for me." I showed her the text with Julian, and her face turned white. She tried to apologize, to explain, but I didn't care. I moved out 2 weeks later, and Mia helped me unpack. Lila moved back in with her parents, still struggling to pay her bills. I don't hate her, I just feel sorry for her. She'll never know what it's like to be in a balanced relationship where both people give and take. And I'm finally free to be with someone who sees my worth. Story 2. The betrayal and the comeback. My stepsister, Clara, stole my girlfriend, framed me for theft, and got me kicked out of my own home. 5 years later, they begged me to save Clara from prison after she embezzled $75,000 from her job. I said no. I'm Sloan, 30, a cybersecurity consultant now, but back then, I was 25, working at a small tech startup in Denver, building encryption software. I had a girlfriend, Maya, 24, a social worker I'd met at a volunteer shelter. We were happy saving up to move in together, talking about marriage, and I thought my family was finally whole. My mom had married Richard, a wealthy real estate agent, 2 years earlier, and he had a daughter, Clara, 27, who dropped out of college and was living off her dad's money. From day one, Clara hated me. She was jealous of my job, my relationship, even the way my mom doted on me. Clara was fake, sweet to my face, but cruel behind my back. She'd accidentally spill coffee on my work laptop, forget to pass along my mom's calls, and make snide comments about my low-paying tech job, even though I made more than she ever had. Maya tried to be nice to her, but Clara ignored her until our family barbecue that summer. Clara spent the whole night flirting with Maya, asking about her job, laughing too hard at her jokes, even touching her arm when she thought I wasn't looking. I brushed it off, told myself I was being paranoid. But then Clara started showing up at Maya's shelter, volunteering on the same days Maya worked. She texted Maya nonstop, sending her memes, asking for advice, pretending to be her friend. Maya showed me the text, said, "She's just lonely, be nice." I wanted to believe her. I was saving up for an engagement, earning $18,000, every penny from overtime and side projects. I kept the money in a separate savings account, and I checked it every week, watching the number grow. Then one day I noticed withdrawals. I didn't make $500 here, $1,000 there over 2 months, totaling $18,000. All gone. I confronted Clara and she smirked. Prove it, she said. Before I could gather evidence, she went to Richard and lied. She said I'd stolen $12,000 from her business fund, which didn't exist, to pay for gambling debts. She even forged bank statements, showing transfers from her account to mine. Richard believed her immediately. He'd always favor Clara, even when she was clearly lying. My mom cried, said she was disappointed in me, and Richard gave me 24 hours to move out. That night, I packed my things and crashed on my friend Lexi's couch. Maya broke up with me via text. I can't be with someone who steals from their family. Clara was right about you, you're greedy. I was crushed until Lexi showed me a photo of Maya and Clara holding hands at a coffee shop, wearing matching necklaces. They'd been seeing each other for months. Clara had framed me to get rid of me, and Maya had gone along with it. I cut off all contact, threw myself into work, and within a year, I started my own cybersecurity firm. We specialized in fraud detection and data protection, ironic, given how I'd been betrayed. 5 years later, my firm was thriving. We had clients across the country, and I was living in a beautiful condo in downtown Denver. Then Clara showed up at my office, disheveled, crying, begging for help. Maya was with her, 8 months pregnant, looking terrified. Clara stole $75,000 from her accounting job, Maya said. They're pressing charges. She'd go to prison if we don't pay it back in a month. Clara fell to her knees. I'm sorry, Sloan, I was jealous. I didn't know what I was doing. Please help us. For the baby. I listened, calm, and then I told them no. But here's the twist. I'd been approached by Clara's employer a week earlier, asking me to investigate the embezzlement. They'd noticed irregularities in the company's servers, and my firm had traced the stolen money to Clara's personal accounts she shared with Maya. I already had all the evidence. Bank records, text messages between Clara and Maya plotting the theft, even video footage of Clara transferring the money. I'd also found out that Clara had been embezzling for years, not just from her current job, but from her previous employer too. She'd stolen $30,000 from a small bakery where she'd worked as a bookkeeper, and framed a coworker who'd been fired because of it. I forwarded all the evidence to Clara's employer, and they pressed charges immediately. Clara was arrested 2 days later. Richard tried to bribe me, offering to pay me double the stolen amount to drop the case, but I had my lawyer send him a cease and desist. My mom called, crying, begging me to forgive Clara, to save the family. I told her, you chose Clara over me 5 years ago. This is her mess. She has to clean it up. Maya tried to reach out, saying the baby didn't deserve to grow up without a mom, but I blocked her number. They had made their choices, and now they had to face the consequences. Clara pleaded guilty to embezzlement and fraud and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Maya had the baby alone, living with her parents, struggling to make ends meet. Richard cut Clara off, tired of bailing her out. My mom and I still talk occasionally, but things will never be the same. I don't regret my decision. I worked too hard to rebuild my life to let them destroy it again. Last year, I met Lena, a software engineer at my firm, and we got engaged. She knows my whole story, and she loves me for all of it, my strength, my resilience, even my past. We're planning a small wedding next spring, and I couldn't be happier. Looking back, those betrayals taught me something. You can't change people, but you can choose who you let into your life. Leela, Clara, Maya, they all took advantage of my kindness, but their greed destroyed them. I chose to rise above it, to build a life I'm proud of. And that's the best revenge of all.